Hi, welcome. I hope you're having a good day out there today. I'm Laura. This is Carlin's Creations, and I'm happy that you stopped by today. We're going to be doing something a little bit different than what my normal videos are. I'm making a mala today, and I thought I would bring you along if you're interested, and we could do this together. What you will be needing is some necklace string. I have this that I got at Hobby Lobby. You could use stretchy string, and I have done that before. In fact, this one is made from a stretchy necklace string, so you can use that if you have some. I just want mine this time not to be stretchy. It's plenty long. It's not going to need to stretch out to go over my head, so I'm going to use something that's not stretchy. You'll need some kind of, I'm going to call it a tassel. You can use a tassel if you have one. I'm using this clear quartz crystal, and I've used it here on this one too. This one's a little bit bigger, and you're going to need some beads. I have chosen 10mm beads this time, and they're the same color as the ones that I've used to make this one out of, but these are quite a bit smaller bead, and I wanted something a little bit bigger. This is howlite, and this is turquoise. And then you'll need, well, you might, depending on the size of your bead, some kind of bead threader. I've got this one. It's called bead-a-lawn. There were several other kinds out there, but I used this in a class that I was in. I really liked how it worked, so that's what I got. And then it depends. You don't have to, but you might want some contrasting beads like I've got here. And then at the ends, we're going to be using 3 on each strand at the end to tie it off. There are 108 beads in a mala, plus the guru bead, which you'll also need, and I'm using this type of thing for a guru bead. I'm going to use another one of these, but there are actual guru beads you can purchase that look a little bit different than this. You can use whatever you have, and the purpose of a mala is for meditation, and when you meditate, you feel each bead and you say your mantra and you go all the way around. And I thought it would be easier to do that with the larger beads. So if you'd like to follow along today, that's what you're going to need to do this project. And let's get started. It's going to be a bit of a process to do this, so if you have something to drink, you might want to grab it. I'm having my decaf, and it's later in the day, so I have to have it decaf. All right, first thing we want to do is get our string pulled out and have it be the length we want it to be. So if you're working with 10mm beads, to be sure you have plenty of the necklace string, cut it at least 100 inches. And if you're worried about it, or if you have bigger beads, you could cut it longer. So, but just be sure you have enough, because I got started and I had cut my string too short. So you definitely don't want to do that. My crystal here, my thing I'm calling my tassel, it needs a jump ring so that it'll hang right. And that is from experience. If it doesn't have a jump ring, it won't sort of twist and turn like it needs to, and it'll hang funny. So be sure and add a little jump ring to it. First thing you're going to do is put on your tassel or your charm, whatever you've chosen, and just go through using one piece of string like that, so it's on like this. And then you're going to take your bead threader, whatever kind of bead threader you have, and put your string through it like this. And then take your guru bead, whatever you've chosen for that, and thread it through using both pieces of the string. And if you have a small hole in it and your string is kind of wide, you may have to use a little extra force and grab it with some pliers or something and pull it on through. And then you pull it all the way down like that. So now you have both pieces of string coming through the top of your guru bead, just like this. Okay. And now you can remove your bead threader from both pieces of thread or string. And be sure that your string is lined up even. Okay. Now we're just going to start adding our beads and knots. So first thing we want to do is tie a knot here before we put our first bead on. And you want to be careful to get the knots really close to your bead. And once you get one knot tied on, then you tie a knot on the other side. And to get them really close, you can use a safety pin or something like that. Otherwise, it's hard to get the knot as close to the bead as you might want to. So now we got our two knots there. We can just, and we'll start threading our beads. I'm going to do opposite colors, so I'm going to start with the howlite. I'm probably going to need the bead threader. Let's see. Am I going to or not? Oh, it looks like it's going to go right on through. And then I'm going to tie a knot. I won't go through this whole process with you. I'll just get you started, and otherwise this would be a really long video and I would bore you to death with every single little knot, every single bead. But I will get you started here and then come back with you where we're going to add our transition beads on when we go from one set of 27 to the next. Now after I've tied my knot, I'm going to add a turquoise bead. Tie another knot. And don't get cocky like I did and think, oh, I can do that without the pin or the, some type of tool to help you tie your knot close to the bead. It is tricky. And then you can't get the string untied unless you use a wax string, which I'm not using. So use your pin. And that way you get it way down, just like you want it. you don't want to, you don't have to do these knots. You could just put your beads on like my other necklace is. But I wanted to do this with the knots and give it a try. It's definitely going to be way more time consuming than doing it the other way. But I really wanted to do this time, so I'm going to stick with it and do it this way. Let me know if you stick with yours too, or if you end up just putting the beads on. If you end up having the patience to stick with it, my hat's off to you. I hope I do. This makes a good pin to do the knots with because it having the little head on it like that. Okay, so here we go, getting started. Now I'm going to do the same on the other side, and then I'll get my 27 on. I'm getting ahead of myself, aren't I? Okay, let me just get this bead on here. Now another turquoise. And if your end gets frayed out, you can always snip just a little bit of it off, and that'll help. Or you can use your bead threader. They do make bead holder, necklace holder plate type things. You can get those on Amazon. I didn't buy one, but you definitely can get that if you want it to hold your beads. I think they're like $8, something like that. Okay, so now we're started, and I'm going to go ahead and string these on. I'm going to do 27 beads on each side with a knot in between each one. And you could use any color. You don't have to do one color or two colors or three colors. You could do all different colors, however you want to do it, whatever are your favorite colors. Anyway, there may be some rules to this, but on this channel and in this video, I'm not going by any set rules except some very basics. So all right, I'll be back with you as soon as I get 27 beads on each side. Okay, here we are now with 27 beads on each side. And at this point, you could keep going with 27 more, or you can put a transition bead. I'm going to use this glass bead, and just slip that right on there. And I've got all my knots, and I've stopped it with a knot. So now I'm going to thread on my transition bead. And then tie a knot. And I'm going to do that on the other side. And then I'll begin with 27 more beads on each side, and that brings it to 108 total. Okay, so that's how that's going to look. It's coming along nicely. Then I'm going to do that to the other side and add my 27 more beads, and then I'll come back with you and show you how we're going to transition and tie it all off. Okay, now 27 beads on the bottom and 27 beads have been added past the transition bead. And what you want to do now is take your both strands here at the top and put them through your threading needle. Like that. So you've got them both through there, and then you take your last transition bead and thread both pieces through there, and then you pull both of the threads through. And if you have trouble, if your hole's a little bit small, you can take like your jewelry pliers and just pull that on through. And be pretty careful so that you don't break your wire, and go ahead and try to mash it together each time you pull it, and that'll help it to come on through. So just take your time with this and just pull a little at a time. Then as soon as you get the thread to come through, go ahead and grab it with the pliers instead of the threading tool. Okay, so now you've got your last piece on like this. And this is going to be the part that if you were to wear it as a necklace, which this one would be really long to wear as a necklace, which you might like to do that. And I'll show you the other way to use this, or one of the other ways to use this after we get our last beads on. So then what we want to do is put on 3 beads on each side of this before we tie it off. So go ahead and tie another knot here. You want to hold that bead in place. Okay, and then we're going to put on our 3 on each side, and I'm using these really small beads, kind of a blue color. So that's what I'm going to be using. If you've made your thread longer, you could use a little bit bigger bead on the end, but I'm not going to have enough room here for bigger beads for these last 3. So just using the small ones. I'm going to thread my string back through my threader again, just one side. And I'm going to tie a knot in between each one. These little pins really do the trick to get the knots down close. And I'm going to use a comb to thread those out a little more. Just combing right through that, and it separates those fibers and makes it look a little more tassel-y. And you can just cut off the fuzz that it leaves. Alright, and there's the back. It's going to hang behind your head, or else and here's the front part. Or you can wrap it around your hand like this. All right. I hope if you're interested in something like this, that this video has been helpful to you. And I want to thank you for spending time with me to make this today. I have enjoyed your company, and I hope you have a really great day. And I'd love to see you again in another video. Thank you. Bye-bye.